It's already been over a month since that Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, but since then there's been something that they actually showed off that I don't see a lot of people bringing up anymore. It was brought up a couple times, but it's something that I actually want to focus on this video, and was kind of surprised at myself that I didn't talk about this before. Well, when Nintendo was actually showing off all the compatible Nintendo Switch games, there was one secret game that they shoved in that we don't know about so far. There's a secret new game that seems to be coming relatively soon to either Switch 2 and Switch 1 or just Switch 2. I would probably say it's the former, coming to both consoles because it just makes sense, but that game is Yoshi's Woolly World. It was so quick and so minor that you probably didn't see it at all, so let me actually go back and show you again. In this scene right here, Nintendo showed off all the compatible Nintendo Switch games, or at least a bunch of them, and as you can see, one of those games is Yoshi Woolly World. What? You don't see it yet? Oh, here it is, right here. Yeah, you had to peek up to the very top and you only got half of the screen of it. But yeah, that's definitely Woolly World and not Crafted World. My very first opinion on this was this has to absolutely be a mistake. This must be referencing Crafted World, and instead they for some reason mix it up with Woolly World. Why would they even do that? Nintendo had all this time to prepare and plan for this thing. There's no way they made that type of mistake, right? Showing off a game that's just not coming at all. And others have pointed out that this art seems to be brand new. This is the Wii U art that shows a Shy Guy to the right of Yoshi riding Poochie, and that's it. But on the 3DS version, it shows a little Poochie beside Yoshi. And the Shy Guy isn't present at all. But if we go back to this Switch thumbnail, it shows both the little Poochie and a Shy Guy, which is a completely new designed thumbnail that we haven't seen so far. Which leads me to believe that this was actually recreated for a specific Switch or even Switch 2 artwork that we just haven't seen or got any announcement for yet, which is very strange. How would Nintendo make a mistake like this? Was this supposed to be seen? Did Nintendo want us to see this and get us hype about something that could be coming soon? Well, maybe not, because if they wanted us to see this, the UK version would be the same, but it wasn't. During the UK Direct, it showed Yoshi's Crafted World, which leads a lot of people to believe, the former, that Nintendo just made a mistake, and for some reason, in the US version, they had Woolly World instead of Crafted World, but I'm not falling for it. There's no way Nintendo redesigned that whole artwork to put it onto this scene for no reason and just absolutely make a mistake like that. Like, clearly, there's something going on with Yoshi's Woolly World for them to be getting ready for some type of Switch or Switch 2 port or remake of some sort, and that actually makes me really happy. If you've never played Yoshi's Woolly World, let me tell you that it is a gem. And no pun intended, considering the fact that you collect gems in that game. But it is really, really fun. And honestly, it probably is one of my favorite Wii U games and also one of my favorite 2D platformers from Nintendo. No, I'm not joking. I like it better than almost every single 2D Mario platformer. I always thought this game was 10 times better than Crafted World. The level design is so much better, the collectibles are more fun to collect, and the theming and world design is just so much more fun and unique. The bosses are even better, and yes, the music is like 50 times better in this game. This is one of the best soundtracks I think Nintendo's ever made. Honestly, I'd even put it up there with Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, and you guys know how good that soundtrack is. That is my favorite Nintendo soundtrack, and this one is a very close second in my opinion. It's really good, and I just love all the different styles of Yoshi you can collect. There's no stupid gimmick that ruins the gameplay or changes things up too much. Like, I hated those stupid costumes you could wear in Crafted World. It made the game way too easy and also just weird and clunky looking. This was just a really solid 2D platformer, and I really do think it deserves to be on the Nintendo Switch. Now, it did have a 3DS version with Poochie, where it actually gave, you know, little Poochie mini games and extra Poochie levels and stuff. Having like a Yoshi's Woolly World Definitive Edition would be really cool, kind of similar to what they did with Donkey Kong Country Returns just recently, where it introduced the 3DS content for the Switch version, so I'm hoping Yoshi's World does the same thing if it does in fact come. But what's going on with this game, and why didn't it release already then? Well, I still think that there's one more big holiday game this year, but as far as anything else, I think what we know so far is pretty much what we're gonna get. There could be a couple tiny more surprises, and I feel like this could be one of the tiny surprises where they could just say, hey, pick up Yoshi's Woolly World in like a month on Switch 1 or Switch 2. It's easily something they could release in like July or something alongside Donkey Kong, or maybe they want to do it in June, or maybe they want to wait until August or something. But either way, I do see this game potentially coming out this year. It just makes a lot of sense, and it's a fun little 2D platformer, which we don't have anything like that slated for the rest of this year outside of the already established Donkey Kong Country Returns port on the Switch. But with this game's inclusion, it made me think what else would be missing from the Wii U then, because this was another one of the few Wii U games that haven't been brought over to the Switch yet. Well, let's take a look. Another title we have is Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, which was a sequel follow-up to the DS title Kirby's Canvas Curse. In this game, you control Kirby by drawing rainbow paths and pretty much guide him to the end, guide him into enemies, and around obstacles. Now, at first you might say this won't be possible because we don't have a stylus anymore. You could play this in handheld and use the stylus like they encouraged for Mario Maker 2, or they'll probably just have motion controls where you can aim and draw these lines. Also, there's mouse controls now, so I think this would work just as good, if not better, than the stylus controls that we had prior. Now, what's interesting about this is Nintendo just filed a brand new patent for Kirby and the Rainbow Paintbrush, which is the Europe name for this game, so I'm very sure that this game will be coming to Switch and Switch 2 at some point in the future, especially knowing HAL Labs in their past, they love to bring back their past games, especially when they have gaps in their schedules in order to keep fans playing. So yes, Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, or Kirby and the Rainbow Paintbrush, whatever you want to call it, it's definitely coming to Switch. But what does that leave now? Well, we have Star Fox Zero, which the developers did state that they would love to see this game come to Switch. Personally, I do not want this to happen at all. It is a really good game, and I think it's an underrated game, believe it or not, but it's a game that I also don't want to see return. They could make it work with the new controls of Switch for sure without using the gamepad. We didn't need the gamepad, it was just extra stuff. But still, I don't want to see this at all. I want a full-fledged, from the ground up, super ambitious new story, new gameplay style for Star Fox. I want to see a very ambitious new title. I don't want to go back to Star Fox Zero, which is already a spiritual successor or a reimagining of the same story from Star Fox 64, which we've heard thousands of times. So please give us a new story with new worlds and just better gameplay, and actually a fleshed out, full-fledged game that just feels like tons of effort was poured into it. That's what I really want for Switch and Switch 2, so I'm hoping this game just stays away. Stay on the Wii U, you're fine there. We also have Nintendo Land, which was one of my favorite games ever from Nintendo, and I really wish they would do a second one. I even made a whole video about this, but that's what I would rather have. I don't think the first one's coming. There is way too many games that utilizes the Wii U gamepad. Now, they could rework this for sure, since the Joy-Con do work with motion controls and, you know, pointing and aiming, but still, just make a new Nintendo Land, Nintendo. You don't need to bring this one back. There is no possible way we'll ever see Paper Mario Color Splash again. I hope I don't eat my words with this. I do have some weird nostalgia for this game. Am I the only one? I did enjoy my time with it, but after what they just did by remaking Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door from the ground up and showing promise for the future of the Paper Mario series, this would be such a crazy step backwards and make so many people upset. It would just absolutely take us right back to where we were in the beginning with this franchise. So I hope that's not the case. Paper Mario Color Splash, you can go back and play it on the Wii U if you want. It should probably just stay there. And then we have Game & Wario, and then some other small ones, which I'm not even going to really go over, like Splatoon 1. Clearly, that won't be coming back. I get it. Maybe there's a way that they can bring over like the campaign for Splatoon 1. You also have things like Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, which I don't even have to get into why that shouldn't return, and things like Wii U Party, which Nintendo could probably make like a Switch Party if they absolutely wanted to, or just continue Mario Party. There's no real point of that. But Game & Wario was just a collection of games that utilized the Wii U gamepad and was kind of like Nintendo Land, that showed off the functions of the gamepad and pretty much, you know, introduced every new player to their Nintendo Wii U, and it should have been like a pack-in game, honestly. So this game will not be coming to the Nintendo Switch, and it definitely doesn't need to. I think what they've done already with the micro games returning, with 2 different style of micro games returning on the Nintendo Switch already, we are perfectly fine, and we absolutely do not need Game & Wario to return. It was a fun and nostalgic game for me for the Wii U, but it's time to say goodbye. So yes, like I said, there's probably a couple other small games that I'm just not mentioning here, but that's really about it for the Wii U and games that are left to come over to the Switch. So I think with Kirby and Yoshi coming potentially soon, that could be wrapping absolutely everything up, and we could finally move on from the Wii U after its horrible run that it had. I love my Wii U, and I love the time I had with it, and it was probably the peak of my gaming, believe it or not, which is pretty bad. But yeah, I love my Wii U. I definitely absolutely am not throwing shade at that thing, but it is cool to see all these games come over to the Switch, so that way we have a better way of accessing them. Something else that I would really love to be happening is if Yoshi's Woolly World is kind of going to be like Donkey Kong here, where we got Donkey Kong Country Returns, and a lot of people thought we're never getting a new Donkey Kong game. And literally just months later, they revealed a brand new 3D Donkey Kong game. Could you imagine if we get Yoshi's Woolly World and everybody's like, we're never getting a new Yoshi game, and then boom, they hit us like a couple months later with a new 3D Yoshi game to start 2026. That would be so awesome. So I'm hoping that's maybe what they're doing and just kind of testing the waters with Yoshi real quick and giving us this port before giving us the big stuff next year. So either way, I love Woolly World, and I really am hoping that we have the opportunity to play this on Switch. But let me know in the comments down below what you think. Do you think Nintendo made a mistake and showed a game early before it's actually announced? Do you think we're actually going to be getting Woolly World on the Switch and Switch 2? And would you like to see this game return on the Switch and Switch 2? Are you a big fan of this game? Do you like Crafted World better? And if you do, what's wrong with you? I'm just kidding, guys. But thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe before you head out. And like always, I hope you guys have a blessed day. See you guys.